Okay, this test ng file, and I need this is a new introduction. Introduction is done. Oh, we used to have this systems property earlier. Let me quickly show that. I've gone through all the things about this slide. Yeah, we used to have the uh, in earlier versions of Selenium, we would have to do one more step, which is we would download the driver file, or let's say if we are using Chrome. So Chrome people would have their driver files somewhere. So Chrome driver download. So you see, for every version, so if I go to this, if I click on settings and about Chrome, so I have my current version is 135.0.7049.42. So here we would have a driver which would support that version. If you are using Chrome version this or newer, consult the Chrome for testing availability dashboard. So I'll click on this. Okay. So the newest version is here. It says the stable version, right? So stable version Chrome for Windows. So I would have to go to this place, download this Chrome Win32. This was earlier, like when Selenium didn't have this driver file inbuilt. What we would do is we would go to this website and download the Chrome driver. So for Windows 3rd, for whichever operating system you have. So I have like a Chrome driver is open. So I have Windows 64. So I'll download this Windows 64-bit Chrome driver and keep it in my system. And I have to add this Chrome driver into my project by choosing this line. So system.set property, web driver, Chrome driver. So we will tell what Chrome driver file it has to use in order to work with, in order to work with our Eclipse and our Java. So this line we would use to say, okay, where is the Chrome driver present? And then, so this will have webdriver.chrome.driver and then the path of the Chrome driver file, which we have just downloaded. And rest remains the same. Like if you want to really use the driver, you have to create an object of WebDriver and then use it. Okay. But the newer version of Selenium, which is from 2024 January, they have started giving this driver file along with the library itself. So if I click on Maven dependencies and in Selenium, because we have Selenium dependencies, right? From CUC, Selenium Chrome driver. Now we already have it because we get it. So how did we get that? Because of this pom.xml file, we had Selenium, which we downloaded in the dependencies, right? Let it open up and I'll show you. So we went to pom.xml file. We said we went to Maven repository.com and downloaded the dependency for Selenium. So when we downloaded this dependency and like when we saved the file, our Eclipse went to this website, downloaded the version, and that version is here. So that version has Selenium Chrome driver already present. So we do not have to go and do this extra step where we have to go download it, first save it in your system, then do a system.set property and then save the and then tell where the file is located. So this was earlier process. Now we do not have to do this. However, for interview prospect, they could ask you, but so you can say the system.set property. You could use it to set explicitly tell which Chrome driver to use, but newer version of Selenium has Chrome drivers present in itself. So we do not even need this line. We can directly use the second line as we saw on our last class where we wrote web driver equals to new of Chrome driver. And when this line got executed, we saw that a browser would open up. Okay. So similarly for Firefox, it is WebDriver.gecko driver. For IE, it was WebDriver.ie.driver. For Microsoft Edge, it's WebDriver.edge.driver. And for any of those drivers, you have to refer to their method name. So for Chrome, it's Chrome driver. For Firefox, it's Firefox driver. For IE, it was Internet Explorer driver. For Edge, it's Edge driver. Like it's very simple. It is just we are telling driver object like which type of driver object we are creating. So if you say Chrome, then when this line gets executed, you will see a blank Chrome browser will open. If you say Firefox, then blank Firefox driver will open. Similarly, if you say IE, blank Firefox IE will open. If you say Edge, blank Edge driver will open. Okay, so that's about this. Here they're showing some challenges, but we do not see any of those challenges anymore because we don't use IE. So we can get rid of that. That was the first slide. Now we'll go and learn more concepts of WebDriver. We will start with locators. Here, I think I didn't go through this test-ng slides yet. So what I'll do is I'll quickly go through few important concept of test-ng. And then I'll switch over to, we'll study few things about test-ng first. As in the intro, why do we need it? I've already explained this, but let's quickly go over to the slides as well so that we do not miss anything. And this is like a law, these things we will learn, I mean, daily basis, as every time when we are in class, we'll study a couple of concepts from test-ng that day, and then we'll work on Selenium hand in hand. So what is test-ng? It stands for like test next generation. It's open source test automation framework inspired by JUnit and NUnit. JUnit is a testing framework which developers use to write their test. So it will be like they'll have their code written, which will do some functionality, or which will have some functionalities. So after they write the functionality, they will write a small code uh, in JUnit or like in JUnit framework. So as soon as they execute the JUnit framework, as soon as they execute, sorry, the functionality, after the functionality is executed, JUnit tests will start to run. So for every module what developer have developed, there will be a JUnit test for that module. So let's say if developers have developed one screen, right, that has a functionality, so to help you log in successfully. So developers would have developed would have wrote all the code to show up the screen, what field means what and everything. So they would have done that. They would have written a small test code as well, which is like uh, make sure empty when user ID and password are empty. It should not help you. It should not let you log in. Similarly, if username and ID are incorrect, then it should not let you in. If username is filled in, password is empty, it should not let you in. So these are some test cases which they will write in JUnit, and every time they run uh, their code, this JUnit test will automatically run right after the code is executed. So why is this required? Because developers have to finish their unit testing. So if they use JUnit framework, it will make their life easy. As in they do not have to come back and retest if they are changing something around that module. They just have to keep on adding more and more tests to their JUnit. So we saw this JUnit architecture, which is like very nice, where developers would easily integrate this into their project, and for every test, for every module they have coded, they can easily write like some test and it will get executed. So because of that, like we as a testing team, we were like, okay, we would like all the functionalities which JUnit has to offer. We will use the same and try to create our own automation framework for testing. So TestNG started that way. We got inspired by JUnit, and like all the functionalities what JUnit can do, TestNG can do it as well, but in just a better way and better format. So it's like even better than JUnit because it has like a lot of reports and makes our life easy for testing any project. So advantage of TestNG, it has HTML reports. I've showed you one, but when we are working, we'll see more and more reports on how it can be generated. It supports parallel testing. That's like the best thing. So let's say you have 10 test cases, and like the general process of running test cases would be run one test case completely, then go to the second one, and then go to the third one, then fourth one, then fifth one, and sixth. But that is like time consuming because at one time, uh, there will be only one test case running, right? So in real life, when there are like hundreds and thousands of test cases to be executed, uh, it will be very difficult if you do not have parallel testing enabled. So if one test case takes like, let's say 5 minutes to get executed, right? Uh, then to run like 1,000 test case sequentially, it will take like 5,000 seconds or 5,000 minutes to execute, which is like long time. However, if parallel testing is possible, then we will try to use parallel testing where at, at one given time, based on your processor speed, based on the memory of your system and so on, you can run close to, 5 to 8 or 4 to 8 test cases at a given time, at any given time. So that's like, that makes life really nice and improvises the execution speed of our test suite. So we really need this feature of parallel testing, and we'll learn how do we do it with help of TestNG. Uh, then we can prioritize the test cases easily. So we can say, okay, this is like if we have a class file with 5 test cases, we can say which test case to be executed first, which one to be next, and so on. So that can be easily done. The next is annotations. So annotations we have already seen. So TestNG uses annotations, so it makes life again easier because now you do not have to write steps in your public static void main.java void main method, where you're like in public static void main you would just write all the steps on how it has to execute each and every step, right? So if you use annotation, the that part is already taken care of because here you are just running tests, and you do not have to give steps to run the test. You just have to write your test, and when you execute that class file, it will automatically run the test for you without even the need of main method. So we have seen this. I'll again show it to you when we are learning. Supports parameterization. Now, what is parameterization? Is like supplying some input values to your automation class file. So let's say if you are testing, let's say if you're testing an application's login functionality. So you would want to test a couple of scenarios, right? When you enter valid user ID and password, it should let you log in. But in any other scenarios, like invalid user ID, null user ID, or any other scenarios, you should not let you log in. So what you will do is you will have same code like just one test code, but you will supply different input values to the same test code. So, and you want to verify the result. So for first test case, when user ID and password are correct, you should get pass as the test result. But for rest, it should be failed. So that would be your test. So you will just write one piece of code and the values will be different. So that can be parameterized. So that means your same piece of code will run again and again for each set of values which you have provided. So we'll see how to parameterize our code. And yes, testng does not require main method because we use annotations to run. And @test is used to tell that method under is a test case, which I've already told you and showed you. Like @test annotation means this is the real test which you are going to execute. We have installed already, so that is taken care of. We'll run our first test case soon, so don't worry about that. We have seen our report looks like, and we'll see again, like even better reports, to be honest. Next is annotation. I've already told about this, but let me just go over it again so quickly. So @test annotation will include all the test steps, whichever you want to execute. So let's say for login, um, you have opened the browser, told which website to take it to in all, let's say before method. Then in test method, you will say, okay, find this field, find the login button, not login button, find the user name field and pass the username value. Find the password field, pass the password value, click on login button, and then you will write validation. So validation would be like, uh, if there's a successful login, then it would take you to success page. So success page would have like some title as in login successful, or we'll look for some keyword which is always present if the login is successful. And we will try to check if that message is present in the next screen. So all those steps will be present in my test method where I'm performing some steps on the browser in order to validate the functionality of that page. So those things will be present in test. Before method, as I said, will be executed before every @test is executed. So this, what do we put in before method? We'll mostly be putting like what type of driver we are using, what type of uh, what URL it has to open and so on. And after method will be like, what are we running after this test is done? So before methods will run before @test. So if we have three @test, then before method will run before every @test. So it will run that way. And after method will run right after this is executed. Similarly, before class is going to be executed before running any of your test. So if a class file has 5 @test, then it will run whatever you write in before class only one time, and after class also only one time. But if you have two class files which you're executing, let's say I have two class file, uh, file class 1.java, class 2.java, then before class, whatever you write in this will be executed only one time for both the classes. And after class will be executed only one time after both the class files have been executed successfully. Then before test and after test is on the test suite level. It does not mean before this other test. It means that before test suite. So in a test suite, you could have, let's say, 10 class files. Like, when our automation, mm, when we really get into automation, when we create like 5, 6 class files, we want to run all these class files together. So when we do that, before test is going to run before all those tests, 10 class file gets executed, and after test will run before all those class file gets executed. So that's on this. Next level is before test suite, and before suite and after suite that gets executed. So we could have classes, we could have tests. There could be different tests also. So let's say test 1 has 10 class file, test 2 has 10 class file, and test 1 and test 2 comes under same suite. So we'll see this, and the before suite and after suite will help you to run before any of these test cases run. So we will not be using all these methods, but however, for interview purpose, we should know what's the scope of each annotations what you're seeing here. So the annotations are just like uh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So they have 10 annotations. We have to know which annotations get executed when, because now we do not have public static void main void main to tell us the steps. In testng, only these annotations decides on what gets executed when. So we'll see more in detail on like when is what is executed when, and we will be executing test cases through testng.xml file. So that will make things even better. Okay, so next is XML file. This will come later on in the course, as in like how do we execute from testng.xml file. Once we understand a little bit more about testng, then we'll go to testng.xml file and try to execute it from there. Testng report. If you execute anything from testng file, then testng report will be generated, and you can validate like how did your test case get executed and so on. Prioritize test, dependency method, disable test, testng batch testing will study while practicing Selenium. So I'll get back to these topic later. Now we'll go to Selenium. Like whatever I've told on testng today, I've already shown it to you last week. And as I said, like we'll study everything, or we'll practice everything. Whatever code I have written here is all in testng format. So when we practice this, we'll get like even familiar with testng, and you will not be in confused state of mind like how you're right now. So bear with me for testng, and it should come along as we proceed in the course. Okay, the very first or introduction to Selenium is we have to know how to locate elements, right? So let's say if we are working on a web page. So a web page, you could have multiple types of elements. One is, so there are some fields like radio buttons, drop downs, radio buttons, drop downs. You could also have fields. So these two are fields, as in like input field. This one is a button, submit button. These are links. Links as in like this will take you to a new website of whatever it has in it. So these are like links or URLs. So these are like different types of elements present in your website. Now, to access these elements, we would need locators. Okay, so if I do a right click on any of the element and click on inspect. So when I click and inspect on this field here, in right side, developer tools will open, and in developer tools, like it is going to show us like what HTML code decides this field here. So in locator, what we are going to study is how do we locate this field in your HTML code. So how would Java, or how would your driver know that, okay, it has to go and click on this field and pass the user ID Mercury. So in order to understand that, in order to perform those steps, we need like locators concept, and locators are of different types. So where are these locators? Okay. Where is locators? Okay, locators concept. Mhm. So locators are of different type: ID, name, link text, partial link test, CSS selector, XPath, and so on. So all these are different locators which we have, but we'll study each one of them, or we'll practice each one of them, and how do we work with each one of them. We'll start with ID, but before even getting into this locator, first I have to explain some basic concepts of what happens in your browser. How do you get files, and how do you show files here? I mean, how do you get your URL show up on this screen? I have already explained this to Chaitra and Gladys, I guess. But for Chris and Lena, I would need this before we get into Selenium. So let's take like 10 minutes break and then we'll start. Uh, that if that's fine.
Back at 10:15?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
10:15. Sounds good. Okay. So now, do we have everyone back?
I'm here.
Okay.
Here.
Chris, Lena. Okay, perfect. Okay, so Lena, do we have you as well? Maybe not yet. She'll join in sometime. Okay, that's fine. Uh, okay, so how does this complete process work? As in, like, what happens? How do we send requests? What happens where the request gets processed, and how do we get response? So it's a process where we have our browser. So let's say this is Chrome browser, and we type URL, let's say www.google.com, right? And we press enter. So when we press enter, what happens is, since this Google Chrome uses internet or works on HTTP protocol, what it will do is it will take this google.com and it will first try to find the DNS and everything. As in, like, it will try to find the IP address of the server. After finding the IP address of the server, it will take the request and it will go to the server. So server is where we are requesting for google.com, right? So server will be somewhere in, like, wherever Google has hosted their application. So Google will be the server in our case, right? So Google is the server. We press www.google.com. So our work of our Chrome browser is to make this into an HTTP request and send it to the internet. So what it will do is it will take to the satellite and everywhere. It will find the server address and it will take this request to the server. So the request will go to the server and your server will process the request. So server will get the request. It will know what it is requesting for. So it will go to the server Google server. It will see what we are requesting for. So when it finds google.com, it will process this request. So it will say, okay, the client is looking for google.com. So for google.com, whatever is the resource which we send, let's send it to the, or let's return that to the user. So what is this? This will be the response. So this is the request which we send. So in request, we tell what do we want. So here we are saying we need google.com. Our HTTP, I mean, the internet is going to take the request. It will go to the server. Server will read the request, respond back based on what we have asked for. So in response, what server sends is HTML file along with CSS and JavaScript. So all these are the files which my server can send it to me. Okay, now you like, Shrikant, I do not want to believe you. I don't know if it really happens. So we can easily check that by, so click on this three dots and then you will see something called developer tools. Click on more tools and then developer tools. This is a hard way to find this, but if you want to easily find this, it's just F11 or like F12. Let me check. Not F11, F12. Yeah, if you click on F12 function 12 button, it would directly show you this. Okay. So if my default browser is set to google.com and hence I'm seeing this. So let me change this from google to demoguru, demoguru99.com. So it will go to demoguru port server. It will find the what request we have sent, as in like what's the URL we are looking for. It will similarly give the HTML CSS response file. So what I'll do is, so I'll go to my network, and as you can see here, there's just this information. So what I'll do now is I'll say demoguru99 slash test or slash new tools dot slash login dot php and press enter. And in the network, you can see that there are like so many files which, or like there are a lot of, there are a lot of requests which are being sent and we are getting some response and so on. So this was the first request which we sent, the URL. So it says the request URL. So this is the first request which we sent. And this is nothing but the URL which we have written it here, demoguru99.com, and we sent this message. I mean, we sent it. We pressed on enter after typing this or after selecting this. So what this Chrome did is it created a request with all this. So it has created a post type of request. It has it is asking for the resources from this website. So this has the URL has been created by, we have typed the URL, but our Chrome read it, converted into this request and sent it. So it's a post type of request. URL was present on the top. These are some headers. These are some request headers. So all these are like, this will be done by your browser itself before sending the request to the server. Once it sends the request, we get response. Oh, it says fail to load response. Okay. This one says fail to load response, but in response, we have got this HTML page back. So maybe next one we would see nothing to preview. Okay, so here the status code is 204 and it says no content. Maybe because I have opened this page a lot of times, so maybe it has stored this page somewhere in my machine. It directly loaded, and hence I'm not seeing any of the response. But generally we do see response as in like what we got back from that place. So let me use different page. Let's say CR login. Oh, I closed the network tab. So let me open the network tab, F12, and I'll click on CRA. So all these are a lot of requests which were sent, and in response, we get something. So you can see that this is a response which we have got. And then CRA is like super secure website, right? So it follows a process. So we send one request, but uh, the way the website is, they have they they have programmed it in such a way that they reroute and at the end they give us the file. So they gave us these files. So you can see that there are a lot of response, or there are a lot of interactions between my machine and the server. I didn't even do any of these, right? But I've just sent one request. So the server is designed in such way that this is the request which I've sent. This is the first request which I've sent, where I'll type canada.ca/revenue agencies services e-service Canada CRA login service.html is the first thing which I will send. And in response, I'll get like, there'll be a lot of interaction between my system and the server, and I would get the response how I see it there. So let me close this. Let me refresh. No, anyways, if I type it again, it will refresh. It's refresh. So this is the link which I'm sending to the server, and rest everything is based on the response. So we get first response as this from the server, then then there's the next uh, set of requests sent to the server. So server is kind of, creating a session, trying to lock the system who is asking for for servers for some resources and so on. So server will give us some information back. As you can see, this is your header, and then there's a response. So in response, you will see what it is. So it's all like HTML code type of a response which you will get, which is then, or which can be found here. Where's the HTML part? Direct close. Oh no, it's here. Okay. So at the end, we get like this HTML file, this CSS setting, and JavaScript back from the server. Uh, we want to see where's the HTML file. Sometimes we see it. Okay. You can see this one. This is HTML file. This is text file. This is sign in parameters, password, locked account, response. So you get like the response back, and that is okay. So this one is the docml. So this was a response sent by server to us. So, and you can see that this one has complete HTML file. So this is the file I was looking for. So this is one of the file which we got back, and this is in the response. So server has responded us. This is sign in parameters.html file. So server has responded as this file, as in like, okay, take this, and this is what you have requested for. We requested for this website. Server got this website. It did its own check, created a session and whatsoever. And then finally, server processed the request and gave us this file. Server was like, okay, take this file. This has all the information which you have asked for. Now, this file is nothing but in HTML format. So by this time, you should know that web browser is created with a coding called HTML. Um, so whatever you see on the screen is coded in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So those are some programming language which you'll use. HTML is a programming language, JavaScript is, and CSS is a styling element. So without CSS, this page would look like super blank. With CSS also looks super blank because it's CRA. But some other website, you see Demo Guru 99 is in blue color. You see this logo here. The format, the font, and everything is based on CSS, which is cascaded styling sheets. The developers use HTML to write things on the screen, to create fields, or to tell like what is what field is what, and so on. But CSS is used to make this website look pretty, appealing, and so on. So now we know what's the process of getting this website into our Chrome. The second step is what we are getting in response. It's just HTML file. And once your HTML file is received, your browser is capable of reading HTML file successfully and showing that to the user. So as you can see in browser in the response, we got HTML file. Your browser read that HTML file and displayed whatever you're seeing here. So that's the process. Now, HTML file, or like how does HTML look like? So that's the next part, which is you can click on elements every time you want to see how your HTML body looks like, or HTML code looks like. You can click on elements. You'll see your code here. So now everything in this HTML code is directly proportional to what you see on the screen, right? So this HTML code is for the screen, and this HTML code is sent to you by server. So that's something which you should know. Next is each field in this screen. Since this HTML code is responsible for this page, every element in this page will be present in a tag in HTML. So HTML is a tag formatted programming language. So which tag formatted means like for everything you would have an open tag and a closed tag. So let's say if there's an head means the header of this file. So head has like a lot of elements present inside it, but for each element you can see that there'll be a starting part and then there'll be ending part. So not for meta, but for title, you can see the title is sign on Mercury Tours, and the title is displayed here. So this is the title. So open title and close title. So that's nothing but like tag format is what we call in HTML. So HTML is an XML, HTML, all these are like similar type of language where when you code them, whatever your element is, it will be in tag format. So this means title. Similarly, this is script, this is link. So link starting here. Since it's just one link, I don't think so they have mentioned end of the link. But for everything, what you start, you have to end it. So if you are starting style node, then you will end it somewhere with a slash style. Similarly, head node, we started it here. So we have to stop it. So slash head. So everything within the head should be present within these two tags. So that's the style of the coding. And HTML has head, it has body, and so these two things are very important, head and body. In body, then you can see lot of even more functionalities which are like iframes tag. You could see input tag, table division tag, t-body tag, table tag, and so on. We'll be using some of these tags in order to locate those elements. So to locate this input field, this is the tag. So it is an input tag. It has some attributes. So these are the attributes of this tag. So max length 60, name, username, size 20. So these are the attributes of this input field tag. And so these are the attributes. Now let's say if I want to see the username here. So we can see that username is just a font and just a word present. It is just like to display purpose, right? It will not store anything. So username itself will not store anything. So how did it get displayed here in this web page? Because of this part, this bold username colon, which is present in this TD alignment. So TD is like division of. So everything in this web page is divided into sectors, and each sector you can identify with the help of TD, TR, and so on. So page is divided into sector based on rows and columns, and but these things are like required for developers, not as a tester. As a tester, you should just know like what developers would have written. So you would want to understand what type of field it is. So when you inspect, it will tell you this is an input field. These are the attributes. Similarly, if you want to inspect the button, you will do a right click on the button and click on inspect. Here it will say what type of field this is. It says input type of field. Input is the field, type is submit. But here type, they have not mentioned type. So this would be like input, lets you input value. But this one says submit type. Submit type means it's a button type, and which means that user can click on this button. They do not have to send a value to this. They can just click operation. So these are like these are like input type of fields and input type of button. So when we are studying locators, we'll try to identify what's the best and efficient way to locate this field in this HTML uh, DOM. It's called data object model, I guess. Yeah, data object model. So in this DOM, this is data object model. This complete HTML file is data object model. So in this DOM, how do we locate this field? If there are like 100 fields, we have to successfully locate one field which we want to put the values or take the values from, right? So to locate this field, we'll use the concept of locators. We'll take help of locators. And as I said, the locators are of different types. For each field, whichever is the most efficient way to reach to that field is something which we'll use. So ID stands on very first in locators because ID is once an ID is given to a resource in the system, that ID will remain the same. Throughout the web page. So we tried, and it will be same for the page also. So if I say an ID as 1234, then that 1234 will remain same for this page, and it will not be like present for some other elements. So let me quickly show you one example, which is register. So this username has an ID. So here this is an input field, but has an ID attribute called email. This means now in this web page, there cannot be one more ID which will say email as an attribute for any of the field. So IDs are unique, and if you have an ID present in your search or like inspected field, you should blindly select the ID, and ID will make sure that it will easily locate the element. So that's why people kind of prefer ID. So let's try to access the first element, which is username. with the help of ID. And then we have password. I'll just quickly inspect password also. And even this one does not have ID. You can see that password field does not have, it says it's of input type, but it does not have attribute called ID. It has max length, it has name as password, it has size. ID username had an ID called email. So, with the help of ID as a locator, we can easily come to this field, locate this field. But for password, we do not have that. So for password, we have to figure out some different locators. So you can see that there are like multiple locators. ID is one, second one is name. So for password, we can choose name as the locator. So for password, we can choose name as the locator. Because name is present. Similarly for partial link test, yes. On all this we'll study when we are there. Let's try to finish ID first. I go to learning code. There should be locators, links. Okay. We'll be practicing on different web pages. We'll start with this web page here because this one has like all different types of fields which you want, like text box, uh, paragraph type of paragraph type of field, disable input read only, and drop down, checkbox, radio button, submit button, picker, date selector, and then this one is slider. So you can see that there are different types of field, and these are some important fields which we see in real life also. So hence I'm like using this one to teach few concepts, and then I'll get back to about this. This has name. What am I using for ID? Where's my this? Oh no, it has ID. Okay, so let's write the first code where we'll try to use the ID and so get the process. Since we are using test-ng, I can create a test-ng class file and I can work with that. So first thing first, if I'm trying to access a website, what I'll try to do first is I need driver. So I'll say my web driver to be driver. I'm creating an object of web driver, but I'm not telling which type of driver I want. I'm just telling, okay, there's a web driver which I need, and I'm calling that web driver as driver. That's the first thing. Second is, what's my before and after method actually, but I can write before test also. So before test annotation is something which I'm going to do. Public void before test is the name which I'm giving. And here in before, I will open my browser. So I'll say driver equals to new of Chrome driver. I'm telling what type of driver I'm going to use. And why do I have to declare it on the top? I will tell you right after finishing this code. Then driver dot get, and here I'll pass the URL. So this is the URL which I have. You know what? I'll save this. And create my test now. So I've done this. I created the driver, told what type of driver it is. So it told it to open a Chrome browser. Then I'm telling the driver to open this web page for me. Once it opens the web page, then comes my test. So I write @test. Right? And here I'll say public void text box. Text box element. And I'll write things underneath. So what I want to do, I just want to go to this website. The very first thing is, close this. I want to go to this website. Push. Oh yeah, what's this? Okay. So the first part is done, which is opening the website. That part is taken care of. In my test, what I want to do is I want to go to this field. I want to go to this text box field and I want to type Shrikant here. Okay. So in order to do this, what I have to first do is inspect this field. So I'll do a right click on inspect, and this will point in my DOM. It will point where this tag is present, which is responsible for this field here. So I came to this when I hover over this input tag, you can see this gets highlighted on the left side. Right? If I click on some other element, like whatever that this tag is responsible for in this page, that gets highlighted. So if I click on HTML, you see complete page gets highlighted because this HTML tag has everything. If I click on head, right now nothing is getting highlighted because that's like head is for header and so on. But like if I click on body, or if I hover over body, you can see everything else is selected. So I want to inspect this field because I need value here. So I'll inspect. It will directly point which element I'm looking for. When I hover over here, it will say which element it is. Now I'm looking for this input field, and then I want to pass some values here. So before passing a value, I'll first try to locate this field. This has attribute called type, class, my name, and then ID, and then my prop, and that's it. So these are some attributes which it has. I'm learning ID right now, so I'll use ID as an attribute. So here I'll say driver dot find element, and here I'll say by dot ID. I'm telling what type of element I'm trying to look for, and it, like how am I planning to look for the element with the help of ID, and then okay, if you're trying to look for ID, what's the value of the ID, right? So I'll go back to the website. I'll try to look for the what's my value, and ID is my text dot my hyphen text hyphen ID. So I'll copy this and paste it here. So this is going to help me locate the element called locate the element by ID. Now I want to send some values, right? Or else how would I know whether my element has been successfully selected or not? So I'll use send key option and pass the value. So let's say I want to pass it. Right. So what it will do, like this code here, it will in before test, whatever we have wrote, it's going to execute that first, and then it has to go to test and execute this part. And then we will have after test. And here we'll write public void after test and a driver dot close. So it will close the browser, whichever it has opened. But at this point, I do not want to run it because I want to show you guys how driver will populate Shrikant into the web page. Okay, so again, as I said, since this is like test.g file, I have to just click on play button and it's going to run this for me. So ID locator, you're looking for ID attribute value and you're trying to find by ID. It has opened the Chrome browser for me. It has gone to the website. It found the field. It wrote Shrikant here. And you can see Chrome is being controlled by automated test software. So it tells you that you're running an automation suite on this Chrome browser and you're not handling this. It is being handled by driver. And Shrikant was sent to this page. Now, how about this field? Okay. So that was ID. If there's an ID present in any of the locator, blindly use that. If you do not have ID present, then there are like way many options which we have to explore. But if ID is present, just close your eyes, use the ID as a locator, put the value here, and it should work fine. So this is for ID. Now, the next concept is name. So we'll work on name now. So again, this is same driver.find element, and we'll say by dot name this time. And since it says by name, we have to again go back to this, go to password, inspect password, and you can see the password has attributes type, class, and name. So I have name as an attribute. I can use this also. So I'll copy this attribute, paste it here, and then I can again send keys. Send keys is to send values. I'll say command. Okay. And now when I run this code again, simple green button, it will perform the steps properly for us. Okay, so this time it has entered Shrikant and it has even entered the password. By this, we cover two locators concept. Now let's go for the third locator. Locator as name and ID. Next is Linktext, partial linktext. So we'll start with Linktext. We can do a small class exercise also, to be honest. Let me see how difficult this one is. Can someone tell me what's the equivalent? I want to send automation testing course in this field here, this text area. So if I inspect, this is the inspected field text area. Yeah, this is my inspected field. Can someone tell me how can I locate this field and pass driver.find element and pass automation testing course? What should I be using?
Well, it does have a name.
Yes. So this just has a name. So I'll use the name, but can you help me write the statement to perform this step?
Driver find element by name.
Driver find element by dot name and pass
I
that.
think it's my text area.
Okay.
Dot send keys.
Dot send keys. Perfect.
And then whatever you'd like to enter.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So if I
Automation testing course. Yeah.
if I now run this code, it should type this, or else Chris and Chaitras are to blame. No, it did execute, and you can see automation testing course present here. So this is working fine. And now also, if you're running this Selenium in your machine, where you try to open a lot of Selenium browser through Eclipse, then your temp gets full because every Chrome, whichever you're opening up, is creating an entry in your temp folder. And after some time, it will grow so big that it will not let you operate anything in your system. So make sure you click on this person in this, like you click on Windows R, it will open the run. There type %temp %, press OK. And then these are all temporary files which you do not need, so mark all and keep deleting them from time to time, or your system will become so slow that next time when you run your automation, I mean, like when you run your Selenium code, it will just fail. So that's something which you have to keep doing it. It's best to run this, to clear this temp after you restart your system. That's the best time to do it, because there are some files right now present in my system which I cannot delete because it's being currently used, or like that application is working. So every application, when it's on, it will create some temp files. Even if we close those files by mistake, or like even if we close some of the programs, the temp file does not get deleted. It remains here, and it keeps piling up, and finally makes your system really slow. So it's always a good strategy to keep this temp folder clear. You can see it has created so many Chrome folders for me already, for even after clearing it out. So I've cleared it just now, and you can see that so many folders are being created, and all this will take some memory and slow down your system. So keep clearing this. I found it hard way. I had maybe 5 GB of data present at my temp. My system wouldn't respond at all. So since that day, whenever I'm running some scripts, if that is little slow, I go to my temp, clear that. Okay, so we are done with ID and name. Now let's see link text. And then we'll come back to this code. So I'll copy those. Mm, I thought I have it, but I do not. So let's create that for us. Link operation is big. Link operation table sliders. You can just does this have? It would be present somewhere. So we'll create a new one for us. New authors. Since I do not have the program already written for it, or even if it is written, it might be embedded in one of these files, and I cannot relocate it. So I'll just create one, and I'll give this code to you so you can have it as well. So now the next concept is for link text. So link text or like the partial link is nothing but when you want to click on any of the links which are present in your web page, there are two methods. One is link test, one is partial link test, and you can use these two identifiers or locators to identify or locate those links and click on them. The first one says link text. As the word says link text, you will be trying to look for the text present or like the text which is visible to us. So for this, we'll work with this page demo guru. This has like lots of link, right? So first thing I want to do is I'll go on this website. So let me go to this. First thing, tell my web driver to be driver. Second thing, before method, tell my driver to be of Chrome driver type. It wants me to import this. I'll import that in some time, so don't worry, this error will go away. Chrome driver dot get login thing, and in test I'll just select all these imports which I need for Selenium. But I just need WebDriver, Chrome driver. That's it. These two are inputs which I would need because I'm using Chrome driver and I'm using WebDriver. I'll open this link and I want to click on register. Okay, so I want to click on register here. So if I inspect now, you have to understand what is the link. So link is nothing but when you click on this register word, it will take you to different resource. So currently you are at this resource demoguru99.com/test/new tours/login.php page. When you click on register, you'll see that it has taken you to new page now. Like earlier it was login page, now you have gone to registered page. Okay, so how does this work? So developers would have created an anchor tag, what they call it. So let me inspect this. Oops. Okay. So developers have created this link in an anchor tag. So every time there's a link present in HTML, it will always be present in an anchor tag. This is called anchor tag, represents with A. This is where it's going to take us to. So currently, this will be the base URL. So this is always going to be the base URL. But it's telling that, take me to this register.php. So that means in new tours, instead of login PHP, I want to go to register.php. That's what it means. And after that, it's So if we want to access this anchor tag, right? If we want to look at this anchor tag, I have to look. I have two methods to look for this anchor tag. One is with the help of Linktext, and the second one is partial linktext. So for every tag, there's a space. So my anchor tag starts here, a tag. It has all the attributes present before the bracket closes. So my a tag starts here. It keeps going until this point. So this means these are the attributes which it has, and then you write register. So whatever you write in between this open a tag and close a tag will be displayed to you in the web page. So it will display it here. So the register is being displayed here, and it has some CSS attributes, so like style, color, decoration, underline, and so on. But few things to notice is register word is between this anchor tag open and close. It's not present inside the anchor tag, it's present outside. So whatever is outside will be displayed blindly on HTML screen, or like in your browser, you will see it. So with the help of HTML code, right? So you see register is the link text. So if I want to find this href, I have to look for this word called register with the help of link text method. So once I say driver.find element by link text and give this text value, my driver will successfully come to register and then can perform the click. So that is link text. Partial link text means instead of completely writing register, I can, if I just know few letters of the word, or like just 3 or 4 letters of the word, then I can look for this word with the help of that keyword. So let's practice that part. So that's with the help of partial link test. Partial means you can look for the link with just some letters. You do not have to enter complete word called register. Okay, so with link text, I'll try to go to register page, and with partial link text, I will click on contacts. Okay, so let's do that. The first one, I'm at register, so I'll inspect this to make sure that it's called register. Go back to my code. Here it will open the browser for me and keep it. Here I'll say driver dot find element by dot link text and pass register. So this will just help me to locate the element. Now, after locating, what do I want to do? I need to click. It's missing one more bracket. Oh, sorry, bracket is missing. And then I'm saying what you have to do is click. So you click on that. Next is driver dot find element and here I'll say by partial link text, and here instead of writing contact full, even I'll write TACT contact dot click, and just so that we can see this transition, I'll add thread dot sleep and I will add 5 seconds to it. And since we have thread dot sleep, it is, what is this? Thread dot sleep, it's showing something. What is this thing? What is this error? We have studied this.
Throws like the exceptional error.
So we have to handle this exception, right?
Yeah, checked errors maybe those.
Yes, checked exceptions.
Yeah.
So to handle this, we will add throws and add the value here. So that will help us. And this will help us. So what this thread.sleep will do, it will just stop the execution of Java. So Java will come to this line and wait for 5 seconds. So for 5 seconds, Java will not do anything. And after 5 seconds, Java will go to the next line. So I'll run this code now. Hopefully it works. If not, then we have to include few more things. So you can see it clicked on register successfully. It's waiting for 5 seconds, and as soon as 5 seconds is up, it will click on contact. Oh, it failed. There's a failure, and it says it couldn't locate an element where the text is TACT. Let me inspect this quickly and see if it is really not present. It's looking for exact words. Okay. It was looking for TACT in caps. It found it, so it waited for 5 seconds at register and then it clicked on contact. So we have searched for TACT, we searched for register, and both are working fine. So you saw that how it waited for 5 seconds here and it triggered this thing. In before method, we will have this. Close method will always contain driver dot close. That way your driver will close after running this test. But just to show you, I always disable this. Let me copy this code for you. You can run this code. And these are the inputs. In case if inputs are not working, then you can add this. I'll give a few minutes for you to run this code because this is not present in my repository. So add this and keep it with yourself. So let me know once this is done, then I'll continue to the next topic. These locators were easy. Now comes the tough one. CSS selector. Then we have XPaths. So most of the time you'll be using these two guys, CSS selector and XPath. Done? Did you guys create a file, execute it? If you're stuck, you can let me know. I'll try to help you.
So that code that you gave us,
Mhm.
where it starts at WebDriver, we have to have the import stuff in ahead of that, right?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Import, I forgot to copy, so I've added it later on.
Oh, I have
Templates
to have
will
all
always,
of those?
yeah, you need all of those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's just 5 of them, and you need all of those because first 3 are for this thing, test, before method, after method. Then by WebDriver and Chrome driver are for this. So WebDriver is for this line here, 11. Chrome driver is for line 24. And by is for find by. To find element by.link, by.partial link text, and so on. So for everything which you are using, you will have to import it first and then use it.
Sorry, can you go up to the top again?
Yep.
All of my imports have an underline, like an arrow, like an error.
Did you save it, your file?
Yeah, I saved it.
Okay. And where did you write this code? Like in your project or
Yeah,
in your
yeah,
project?
in my project.
It has like a yellow error warning or what?
No, the very first line, package Selenium practice,
Oh,
where my packages has an X.
so here you have an X?
Yeah.
Oh, then if you haven't, oh, did you change this class name to be like your class name?
Mhm.
I think I didn't even copy this class name.
No, I don't have the class name. That's why I need.
Oh, that's fine. You should have your class name as your file.
Yeah.
So for you, are these two guys matching?
It's about to. Hang on.
Okay. Okay. Chat is working fine. Even if this one error missing numbers.
Yeah.
Why do you get error here? This is your own package. Will be your own file. If you still getting error, then you might have to connect that laptop again. You're still seeing that error?
I think I'm missing some quotes.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I said I'm missing some quotes. Fine now.
Oh, it's working fine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so since this is done, let me close this. Radio button, not right now. CSS selector can be on.
Oh, I'm having an issue. I don't know why it's doing that.
You're having what?
I'm having an issue. I'm getting a remote. Oh no, it worked.
It worked. Okay.
I don't understand this. Why I'm still getting
So you're getting an X and it's working as well.
but yeah, I'm getting an X and it's working.
Well, that's not possible. It might be executing some other file for you.
The X is now on the at before test.
The X is nowhere. Sorry.
At before test.
At before test.
Oh, I don't know where that came from. Hang on.
Oh, from here. So if that's the case, then maybe you're missing a closing bracket somewhere. So like, let's say I do not have this, then I'll get a cross mark here. So there could be a syntax.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I fixed it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, sounds good. Now we'll go to CSS selector. Let's go back to register. Okay, so these attributes here, name, ID, max length. So all these attributes along with the tag name, which is here. Where did it go? Yeah, along with this tag name, attributes along with the tag name. So input tag and one of the attributes. So an attribute along with tag names can also help you locate an element. Right now, whatever fields which we are working with has like easiest way of getting them identified. But in real life scenario, locating element is really challenging. That's the worst part actually. So there are different ways of how we have studied ID with the help of name, with the help of linktext, partial linktext. Then there's CSS selector, which we are studying now. Then we'll have XPath. So most of the time you'll use XPath, like 80% of the time you'll use XPath. In some cases, when 80%, I mean, in some cases when you do not have any means of locating the element with the help of XPath, then second priority goes to this guy, CSS selector. With the help of CSS selector, you can easily identify the element, given you do not have ID and name and so on, right? So, I mean, if there's this ID and name, you can easily use driver.findElement by ID by name. But what if sometimes they do not even give the attributes like you have here? So to identify that field, it becomes like really difficult. So uh, we'll see how we use CSS selector to overcome that problem. So let's say I want to use, or I want to identify this tag with the help of CSS. This is an input tag. And to identify this, I want to use CSS selector. So it's really easy. I have to just say, I'll start with the tag name itself. So whatever tag I'm looking for. So driver.findElement by.css selector this time. And then I'll say for this field, I'll say name input dot name, or like this one is email. So let me see if I'm using email. Oh yeah, this here I do not have to say name. I directly have to give the attribute value itself. Yeah, so if I'm looking for the name, then I will say input type of tag, pound symbol for name, and there's dot symbol for ID. So I'll show that part also. So first thing first, if I go to my slides, the first thing is ID. So let's start with ID and then we'll move to class. So I want to locate the element with the tag and ID. So tag I already know is input tag. It's an input tag. And then if I'm using ID, I have to use dot and then I can say email. So let me type email in this field here. So first thing I need is this website. So driver configure. Let me not use this timeouts now because timeouts is a concept which I'll use later to tell you what this implicit timeout does. Or actually I can finish that right away. But I didn't get any error, so difficult to explain that way. Let me run this code without this, see if there's an error. So timeouts is concept where we tell our browser to or our driver to wait for some time. It's wait for some time. But here it got fine. So when we get that error, I'll explain this part. And also like there's a complete class for, I mean, there's a complete section in Selenium about weights or different types of weights. So we'll cover that during that time. But for time being, you can think of it as wherever you see it, it is nothing but it helps you to look when you have the weight as driver.manage.timeout, and when you say implicit wait, it just means that before crashing uh, on finding elements. So let's say it's trying to find this element called input email, right? If it does not find this element, as soon as it went to the website, if it does not find the element, it will stop. It will say unable to locate the element and it will stop the execution completely. But there are possibilities that sometimes your and also like your Java is really fast. That this is something which you should know. Your Java execution is really fast compared to your web page loading. So when I trigger the run of this file here, my JVM runs like really fast, as in first it will open the Chrome driver. Once it's open, it will get you the website. Once you gets you the website, it will execute this in like no time. Like it's very fast. But sometimes, after you run this driver.get URL, it takes some time for the server to respond. So let's say instead of 1 second, or it takes like 4 or 5 seconds to load the complete web page. And my Java, as soon as it executes this line number 30, the very next second it goes to line 17 and executes this. If my page is not loaded, then this line will result into an error. It will say that, the element was not visible. So I'm throwing an error. Even though this CSS selector is correct, but since the page is not loaded, your Java cannot find it. And hence we need an implicit wait. So what we mean by implicit wait is that before triggering the unable to get error, unable to locate element error, it has to look for that element for at least 10 seconds continuously. So it will keep looking for 10 seconds for this element to show up. If it shows up, it will access it. It will not wait on like completely 10 seconds. It will just wait until this element shows up. Once this element shows up, this line gets executed, line number 17, right? Similarly, line number 18, before executing line number 18, it will do the same thing, 19, 20. So for every find element, we'll get an implicit wait of 10 seconds if you add it this way. Driver.manage.timeouts implicitly wait duration of 10 seconds. So which means every element before erroring out, it will have chance for 10 seconds to show up. If it does not show up after 10 seconds, then your Java will crash. I mean, not crash, as in like it will give you an error because Java is really fast. Okay, so this is implicitly wait, and you have to write this before you open the URL, because that's how we kind of do it. Like every time you want to add implicit wait, it's always a good idea to write it, to add it into your driver before opening the website. You can add it later on also, but it's a good practice to open it before. Let's see if I can add it really after also. Once I was trying to add it and I can add it anytime. Yeah, it works. So it lets you add anytime you want. It's not compulsory to be added right away. But it's a good practice to be added before you open your web page itself. That's on implicitly wait. Now we'll get back to our CSS selector topic. So here I've opened the web page, and for CSS selector, I need tag and attributes together, right? So first thing we checked was, or actually we didn't check anything. So let's start with new tools register. I want to check I'll use ID for the first time. So input is the tag for CSS selector. Input is the tag, and then I want to locate with the help of ID. So the ID value is email. So for ID, it's dot. So input dot email will help me find that field. Similarly, if I want driver dot find element by dot css selector. And this time I want to copy this or put some values in this one. Inspect. This input has max length of 60 and name as first name. So I want to do it for first name. So input found first name. We have told you like, and I'll pass Shrikant here. I'll close this line. I'm closing rest everything. So what I want to do is I want to go to email, type the email, Shrikant that. Then I want to go to first name and I want to type Shrikant. But the only difference is for email, which was ID, I'm going to use dot as the representative of ID and pound for representative of the name. So that's the difference. I'll run this code now. Hmm. It couldn't locate the element input dot email. That's strange. Oh, ID is found and email is. Oh, sorry about that. There's a small fix to my explanation, which is I said opposite. ID is found and class name is dot. So ID is found and class name is dot, as you can see here. Sorry, I got confused and I have to fix that. So ID will be working fine, but now to check first name. I have to look for class. These guys will not have class in it. Oh, this one. So this website does not even have class name, so it's difficult that way to locate this element with the help of CSS selector and class. But there will be some other website which will have that, so we'll use that to. Okay, this one has class. So we'll use this website to practice that part. Oh, but this does not have an ID, so we'll have to write multiple code in order to go through both the both the scenarios. Let me comment this first. First is CSS selector, type of tag input, since it's an ID, pound sign, and the value of the ID. And then I will send these values. So that's the first part. Let me execute that. Second is we'll try to identify an element with CSS selector, attribute type, and class name. So you can see it successfully wrote Shrikant at bzqa.com, which was through CSS selector input and ID. Now I'll comment this out. Uncomment. I'll keep everything commented. For input tag dot class name, I will show after we finish few more topics of CSS selector. So it's just the way we write it, and it should just have class name. So I'll show that at the end, but let's finish few more topics since we are on this web page, right? In this one, and this does not have class name, so I cannot show it right on this this page. So once we finished all the concept of CSS selector, then finally I'll show it in different page to you. So the next one is, or like the next type of CSS selector is, so we have four types. Tag and ID, done. Tag and class, which is like tag dot class name. We haven't practiced this, we'll practice this. Next is tag and attribute. So here you can specify the tag and the attribute together. So how does it look like? It looks like this. So there's an ID and then there's a class. For this example, there's an ID and then there's a class. So no, this one is still class. Actually, this one. So there's an input tag, it has size, it has name, and it has max length. So all these are the attributes. In order to locate this element, I can successfully say the tag name, which is input tag. In square brackets, I can say one of the attributes and it will work. So that's tag and attribute. So you can have one or multiple attributes to locate an element, which is present here, as you can see. Trying to locate for first name, which is here, inspect. So this one has input tag, has maximum length of 60 and name is equal to first name. So input tag, one attribute, two attribute, everything will work. So I have input tag, max length equals to 60 and name equals to first name. And I'm passing some values to that. So if I save this and run this code, you can see first name has been populated successfully. Username was populated anyway, so this one is working fine. So with CSS, if you know the attributes, then you can write the tag name and multiple attributes also. That is possible. Next is tag, class, and attribute all together. For this, I need class. Okay, so let's shift to the web page, which would be does it have everything? ID, class, name, Perfect. Class name. And what a class means in CSS is like if you have few fields which you know belongs to the same category, then you can, instead of adding attributes or some configuration to each and every file, what you will do is you will just create a class and then you will say, use CSS element, this one for this class. So that makes your life like really easy because you do not have to write the same code again and again. You have created a styling element and you will just use the styling element for every field. That's what this front end developers do. Mhm. So for this field, let's say if I want to identify this field, text input is the field. So CSS selector by.css selector, and then I have to say input field dot class name. So form control. Form control. Input dot form control, and if you need more attributes, you can keep adding them here. So called name equals to my text. So this is one of the attributes. So you can have all these three things together also, and that will completely work fine. Solid CSS selector part 2. Just don't want to write same code again and again, so I'm just copy pasting few things. I'm saying go open the page. Once you open the page, I have to show the input dot class name. What's my class name? Form control. So if we just type input.form control and send this, it will be tough because there are like so many fields of input type, as you can see here. All these are like input type fields. So input. So all these are input type. This one is text area, but these two are input type fields and has same class name. So all these class names are same. Hence, like we hardly use this kind of concept where it's difficult to identify one web element. So what we have to do in order to paste values here in text input, we have to locate it with input type as text, class as form controls, and then we can give one attribute. We can pass name or ID, anything, but we have to pass one for it to work. So I'm saying here Find the element by CSS selector called input, class name called form controls, and since it is dot, it is like 100% sure that this is form controls. Next is the attribute. So for attribute, I'll open a bracket and use name equals to my text. Here I have to use single quotes because Java works that way. And I'll just pass some value for time being. And we'll see if it works. So CSS tag name dot class name and then some attributes more. And you can see that it successfully identified this field and sent the value here. So CSS selector tag name dot class name dot attribute. You could add more attributes as well, no problem there. The motive is to just locate the element with whatever options which you have. So CSS selector could be a very good help in locating the element because you can use CLL, CSS selectors already existing methods. So these are some of them. Class tag name dot class name or tag name pound symbol last name pound symbol ID, and if you want to add more attributes you can still add them. If you do not know the class name and if you just know the attribute, you can still work on it. So input tag, and let's say I do not know the form name class name, then I can just type in the attribute also and that will completely work fine. So when I say this, instead of this one, I'll remove it. I'll close that and close. Oh shit. No, it's all good. And you can see it successfully found the input field and send the value. Okay, so this is all about CSS selector. I think we have covered all the topics of CSS selector. Tag, class, attribute. Tag and class, tag and ID. Did I miss something? No. Next is XPath. XPath will cover in next class, but let me give the code for this. Do you guys have CSS selector.java file with you? Can you just check quickly? It would be present in Selenium Learning. CSS underscore selector.
Don't see it.
You cannot see it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, then I have to give this also.
No.
I'll give the CSS selector first, because since the web pages are different, you might have to have both. So let me copy this. This is the first. Right. I do not have an after method, but that's not even required, so it's fine. Once you save the first file, then there's the second file.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So when I ran my first one that we did last Wednesday, the first Selenium and the first automation, everything was fine. But now when I run the one that you just gave us earlier, I'm getting an error for remote test ng detected. Test ng version 7.11. It says no SLF4J providers were found. The code still runs, but it
Oh yeah, we
doesn't
get.
tell me if the run, it tells me there was one run, but then it says it failed, even though I can see that it didn't fail.
Oh, just you get that error. Hold on, I get that error too. If I run something.
So
Like
is it missing like a jar file or something?
yeah, there's one jar extra which is present in the place in the test ng which we are working with. So it's just like a warning, so you can ignore that for now. I think there's a fix for it, but I have to find what's the fix. So unable to find the exact running version, please update Selenium version. Yeah, there is one SLF thing which comes up. Hold on, let me run this one. I was getting it last time when I was running the code.
Should I just do an update or?
No, there's some setting which we have to change.
Oh, okay.
You see this
Yeah,
one.
that's it. Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
Yeah, this one, there's some kind of there's some changes which we have to do in configuration. I'll try to figure that out and then I'll send it to you, because in my repository in this one I'm not getting that error. So could be let me see what's my JUnit sorry, test ng's version quickly. So this is
Yours says 7.9.
7.9.
Yeah,
Previous one.
I was looking at what you were running earlier and it
Oh
said
yeah,
7.9.
7.9. You know what? Let me quickly update this and see if the error is gone. Maybe that error is coming because of the latest version. Well, right now we have 7.11. So maybe 9 is something which does not have that error. So save this. It is changing it. Change. Now first test ng. Let me run this. No, it still has the error. So it looks like there's some kind of configuration change which we have to do.
Okay.
If you do not want to see, but this is like this is
Just an error. Yeah, I
yeah,
read
it's
that.
just an error that there's something called SLF4J a static file which you have not, which we have not used. So just complaining about that, but we do not have to really use it also.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, there's some setting. That's why I'm not seeing it in my this project. I think I've changed something. I have to figure out what I've changed. But before going to that, I'll take it to 711. Always keep the updated version. Okay. Did you copy both the files for yourself?
Yes.
Okay, that's nice. Next class we'll finish XPath and XPath is big. A lot of topics around XPath. So we'll try to finish that, and then there's something called XPath access. We'll try to figure or finish these two at least in next class, and then move on to next topic. Okay. I would suggest please practice whatever you're learning in the class. So today we finish uh, basic locators, ID, name, link text, partial link text, CSS selector. So try to practice things around this. And in next class we'll finish XPath, and then you can then I'll activate the assignment number 1, which we have. So you will get chance to work on assignment also. Okay, so I'll see you all on Wednesday. If you have anything, please reach out to me. If nothing, then yeah, enjoy your weekend. Take care.
Thank you. See you on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.